we're all having these conversations with ourselves about students and cheating, but we have no idea what you're thinking. So you all are gonna help us out. Okay? So first, what's cheating? How many people in this class do you think have cheated at least once?
Probably everyone.
Maybe some people would try to justify it by saying it's not cheating to let it be easier on themselves.
For me, it is kind of unfair. So it feels
Who's it
like
unfair to?
What?
To whom is it unfair?
For people who are staying here, kind of.
So for you
Yeah,
and for everybody else.
I would say so.
Would you agree with that? I wiped my mind clear of what it means to cheat. What I think about cheating, what I imagine cheating to be, I wipe my mind clear. I don't have any ideas what you all are thinking. And whatever you're thinking is perfect, is great, because it's what you're thinking. People like myself, professors, we're all having these conversations with ourselves about students and cheating, but we have no idea what you're thinking. So you all are gonna help us out. Okay? So first, what's cheating? What's cheating to you? Not what it is in the world. What is it to you? How do you define cheating? And academic dishonesty, we'll call it.
I think that cheating is not using your own frame of thought, not using the knowledge that you have and using it from other sources, whether it be like ChatGPT, other AI forms, or things just like looking it up on the internet and getting your information from there and not getting it kind of in a way that is ethical.
But isn't everything like that? If I say, hey, go do research on a paper, you're going to have to go research the paper, so you got to get other people's ideas. So how's cheating different?
I think it's different because I see it more as like if you're taking an exam or if you're doing an assignment, it's not ethical. You're not citing the sources. You're not going ahead and saying that this is where you got the information from. You're taking it and you're kind of claiming it as your own knowledge.
Okay, I got you. Okay.
I was actually thinking the same thing, whether you will be dishonest about your work, not being honest, whether it's your work or you're actually copying or bringing someone else's idea and putting it as if it was yours. I would say that's kind of cheating as well.
Putting it out there as though it's yours.
Yeah.
What would be an example of cheating that if you found out your roommates cheated in this way, in a certain way, you'd be like, oh man, that's like, I don't know. Okay. But if you found out another way that they did something else, you'd be like, whoa, that's really serious.
You don't form your own critical thinking. I did cheat a lot, not to put her on blast.
What did he do?
Well, she used ChatGPT for everything, and she also had other people because her major required her to have some art abilities, and so so she would ask me to do her entire projects for her, and I was like, I'm not getting your degree, so I'm not going to do that. But she actually got other people to do it for her. So I think in that regard, it is major because you're benefiting off of someone else's work. But I think if you're just doing something and it slips your mind or you're citing sources and you forget to cite one in your final paper, but then you in the paper you mention them, but you don't put the link at the bottom, I think that's less major because you're still showing that you had something to back you up.
Okay, all right. Mas, how about you? In your mind, what would constitute cheating that you would say, whoa, man, that's...
I think first off, I do agree that there is more severe cheating or different levels to it. And what I would define cheating to be as something that you're going beyond the bounds of what you're allowed to do. For example, with an exam, you're not allowed to take out your phone, for example. So you taking out your phone would be cheating.
So when you take the exam in here, if you're taking and we're like, look, man, you got to be on Canvas. You can't move off the Canvas screen. Okay, so that would be one. That you're hopping off and you don't know the answer to this question, but you can hop on to ChatGPT really fast.
Yep, and I think what determines the levels or the severity of the cheating is what's at stake. So of course there's academic cheating, and then there's other types of cheating, and different scenarios have different stakes. And I think that's what classifies something as severe or more normalized.
Okay, so if you were cheating, you're taking the quiz in here, the exam. It's 23 questions. These questions worth 1 point. And you're like, yeah, okay, I cheated on one question. I looked at the person next to me for one question. Only one.
I think it depends on the person's ethical standards. If they're okay with it, then that's on them. More people have, or other people have, higher expectations for themselves, so they wouldn't allow something as simple as that. Other people would be more lenient, depending on their perspectives of what is severe in terms of the stakes, I think.
So how many people do you think have cheated? If you watch our videos on Social 118, you know that I'm trying not to impose my own belief system onto students. That what we're trying to do in this classroom, in this space right here, is to give students opportunities to think on their own terms and to understand the ways in which ideas and thoughts that come at them are often slanted in one direction or another. Our sponsor this semester, our very first sponsor, is Ground News. It's the perfect sponsor for this class, and I'm really happy to endorse them, and I'm happy to get behind them. If you subscribe for Ground News using the code in the description, the link in the description, you get 40% off the Vantage plan. That's the plan that we use in here. And I can't say enough how important this is and how valuable it is to have a better understanding of the ways in which news is coming at you and the ideological perspectives that people are taking who are sharing the news. So sign up for Ground News. It's awesome. Like, I hope all of my students sign up for Ground News, actually. How many people do you think have cheated? Even at the lowest level, even you're taking an exam in a class. How many people in this room, and they look over at the person next to them and they see the answer for question 8 was B, and like, oh my God, okay. How many people in this class do you think have cheated at least once?
Probably everyone. And that's not to be offensive because I too have done that. I think that even when you're in like elementary school or middle school, everyone has wandering eyes, and like not like intentionally, but like you're just looking around because that's what we do, and you might get a glimpse. Or
how about just in college?
Even
everyone, you would say?
Yeah, I think even if it's something small, like you looked at a Quizlet beforehand or like during it, like on your phone to get the answer, or you looked at whatever, I think even if it's the smallest thing, at least 90% of people have.
Okay, so it could be that you lied to your professor and said, "Oh, I had a cold, or I had the flu, and I couldn't turn the paper, and can I just turn it in 2 days late? I have it right here." And they're like, "Yeah, okay, you lied. That's cheating, right?" So something like that. How about Nicole? How about you? How many people in here have cheated in college, do you think?
Everyone. I think everyone at some point has cheated in college, whether it be like maybe looking to the person next to you to see their answer, or maybe looking online to see if the test was leaked. But it's also like if someone found out that there's a copy of their exam out there and it is the exam that they're actually going to be taking, would they look at the exam? And I think that that's an ethical line that many people would probably cross.
Okay, so let's do the line then. We've talked about less serious cheating, like telling your professor, "Oh, I was sick," when you weren't sick. Okay. And then really serious cheating, like buying a paper off from some website and being like, yes, submitting the paper, and there it is. Less serious, more serious. What percent? So would you say everyone's participated in more serious cheating also?
No, I would say most people have taken part in less serious cheating, like looking to the person next to you, things like that. But I would say a lot less people have probably crossed that line and gone into territory of, like, for example, paying someone to take an exam for you or paying someone to take the SAT for you. I feel like not nearly as many people have crossed that boundary.
Stephen, how about you? How many people What's your gut feeling when you look out at all these lovely people? How many of them have engaged in more serious cheating?
In serious cheating?
More
Not-
serious.
More
yep.
serious?
On this side of the line.
To be honest, before Nicole and Ella, Ella was talking about how much of this whole, in this class, what percentage of people will be cheating, I was thinking 50-50.
Yeah.
But I kind of gone through, okay, maybe the severity of the level of cheating might kind of depend on, because some people would say that it's less risky because if it's like you said, a student comes by and say, I'm kind of sick, so I can't attend an exam, and then make up the exam. That's kind of less morally kind of like felt wrong than actually cheating and copying other people.
Okay, so if you lie to us, you send an email to me and to Julie and I, to me and Julie, and you say, yeah, I'm sick, I can't take the exam. And you're not sick. You just didn't prepare.
Maybe.
You lied. That's
Maybe.
cheating.
I would say yes.
No, is that cheating actually? You would say yes?
Yes,
Do you think
policy-wise.
that's cheating?
Getting access to something that you shouldn't have, I think, is cheating.
Okay, how many people in here do you think would say, yeah, if you send an email to the staff at social18.org right before the first exam and the day of 10 in the morning, and you say, I'm sick, I can't take the exam, but you're not sick. How many people in here do you think would think that's cheating? Or no, would think that is not cheating?
Maybe some people would try to justify it by saying it's not cheating to let it be easier on themselves.
Yeah, but even if someone else does it, if they heard, like if Ella hears that, one of the other students in class did that, would they think like, oh yeah, you cheated versus like, no, you just got away with something.
Would that not be cheating?
Yeah.
I mean, how many people do I think would justify it? I'm not sure. I can't speak on behalf of people.
What's your gut though? Because we are doing that.
If we're basing it off of our gut, I would base my gut off of what I've heard, and I hear it's a lot more often that some things are more acceptable, depending on what it is. Like for example, telling the professor I'm sick when you're not really sick. I've heard it a lot more often, and I would predict that more people would say it's not cheating, more of a you're right, or it's okay, it's more acceptable.
Okay, all right. Okay, well, listen. I'm going to do a very specific example here, right? First off, everybody get your phones out and get on Canvas. We're actually going to take a practice quiz for attendance, which we're going to start on Tuesday. If you did it, you can put your phones away now. So, in class, that would be 1.5 points toward your 180 points that you need. And in this class, you need 170 points of the 180 points to get an A. So when you miss 1.5 or you miss 3 points, let's say, because you're not here in class, you miss 3 points, that means now you only have 7 points. So if you come to every single class and you do world and conversation, you've got all the points. That means now you've got the exams, you have 81 points that you have to get taking 3 exams. And you can only miss 10 questions to get before you move into A- territory. Okay? So imagine Yosh, he comes to class and he's like, man, I can't stay for class. I got a meeting with my club or whatever. I got to go study for another exam. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to come sit right here in this corner, and I'm going to wait till the first attendance quiz happens. It's 1.5 points, and I'm going to take that attendance quiz, and then I'm going to grab my jacket, and I'm going to leave. Okay? And so I'm going to go. So he goes, and he leaves. And you're all watching, going like, yo, man, that dude just took the attendance quiz, and he bolted. He took off. That means he got 1.5 points. He's not going to get the second 1.5 points unless someone sends him the code, but he got 1.5. So, remember that 10 points to work with? So now, okay, so there you go. That's good. What do you think about him? You're sitting in your seat, and you watch him do that, and you know he's leaving because he took his jacket and his book bag with him, or he's up at the top and he bolts out that door, and you see it, and you're like, dog, what do you think about that? What do you think about him doing that? What's that mean for you? You watch it, you watch him, he just cheated. You watch that. Or is it not cheating? What is it? He just did that. You're sitting in your seat. Nicole, do me a favor. Go sit right there. All right? We're having class. All right, dude, go just grab your jacket and your book bag and just take off. And come back in and it's like, oh, wait, there's your phone. Hang on, I'll get your phone. Okay, there. Wow, so, see, you just took off. What do you think?
I don't think it's necessarily cheating, but I'm just like, you came all the way over here. Why can't you just stay? Because I've seen people do that.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you might as well stay. I don't think it's cheating, but I don't think it's right. I don't think it's respectful.
But what if you have somewhere to go? Like, you're like, I gotta go. I'm driving home right after class, and I really need to leave by 3:30. And we have class till 4:20. What about that?
I wouldn't.
You're watching him. He just left.
I wouldn't think that it's cheating, but I'm almost just. I don't know. I wouldn't consider it cheating. I would just consider it like, well, that's unfair to. It's unfair to me. It's unfair to like everyone else that also possibly has to be somewhere during class. But I wouldn't consider it cheating necessarily.
Would you ever say? Okay, here. Would you all say something to him if you saw him the next day? Would you? Here, you can hop back.
I wouldn't say anything because I think at this point in your life, no matter what age you are, like in this class, you're still in college, and whether you're fully financially responsible for what's going on or you're getting help or whatever, I think if you're not going to class or you're like not fully locked in when you're there, you're just wasting your money or whoever else's money and your time. So I've never thought of that as cheating. I've just thought of that as like, why would you waste your own time and like, why would you waste your money like that? Mm-hmm. So I don't think I'd ever say anything though, because that's totally an autonomous decision.
Stephen, how about you? What if you watched me? You have somewhere to go, and you watch him leave the room and not say anything. What are you thinking?
I would also agree with that's a bit of a waste of time and money, and your opportunity to kind of involve in the class. But I would say the decision that he made is all on his own, and the consequences, or what he would actually like use that time instead of being in class, would solely matter on him. So if you don't stop him for leaving, I guess, and if multiple people do at the same time, then I guess...
Let's say you watch 10 people do the same thing.
For me, it is kind of unfair. So it feels
Who's it
like...
unfair to?
What?
To whom is it unfair?
For people who are staying here, kind of.
So for you?
Yeah.
And for everybody else?
I would say so.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
You agree with that? It's kind of unfair?
I mean, it's unfair, but like unless they're making a really like, if they're like being really loud, then that's unfair. Otherwise,
No, but they just slip out.
otherwise I'm here doing my own thing and I'm here for my own education. So
okay.
if I just take on everyone else's issues with wanting to leave class early, then it's just distracting me from my own work. So if I just let him do his thing.
Okay, well, let me up the game a little bit here, okay? Let me up the consequences. When we give out too many A's, man, the university comes down and they're like, we want to see your syllabus. We want to see what's going on. Why are you giving out so many A's? And then they put the screws to us a little bit. And they're like, you got to tighten this up, man. What's your attendance policy? You got to make your exams harder. You got to do something because you can't just give out A's. And so then they come along and they're like, okay. So one way for us to not just give out A's is that you have to do certain things. Like you have to come to class and you got to get those points coming to class. If we're giving you points and you're not coming to class, then what that means is they're going to give out many more A's to people who are not doing the work. And the university is going to come down. I'm going to get an email, come in, ding, and I'm going to read it. And they're going to like, hey, we need to have a conversation with you because you're giving out too many A's in Social 19. Every time somebody leaves, like Yash here leaves, other people leave, what that means is the GPA goes up because he's more likely to get an A. Everyone who cheats is more likely to, whoever who does this, let's say we're not going to call it cheating, they're more likely to get an A. That means you all are less likely to get an A because because it just got higher. So instead of you needing 170 to 180 points, it's suddenly now 172 to 180 points. You're like, dang, it's so hard to get an A in Social 118. Yeah, well, that's because they're all cheat. People are not. Now what do you think about that?
In a scenario like that, I mean, it's the same scenario, just clarifying the consequences. At first, if it's not really affecting me, like if it's just Yash going out, that's not really going to put any weight to it. But if there's more people doing it and I'm at a greater risk and everybody else is at a greater risk, then speaking to you would be important. I guess talking to the person could be nice, but if there isn't like a friendship between them, I wouldn't do that. Just talking to the faculty, the person responsible.
So how about somebody else? Like suddenly now it affects you because it does affect you, right? It does.
The way I thought about it is one thing is I'm not sure how the exam for this class goes, but most other classes, the class lecture actually depends on what you actually learn for the class.
Yeah, this one doesn't at all. There's nothing that happens in here that you need to know for an exam. Being in here isn't going to improve your grade, other than you take the attendance quiz at the beginning and the attendance quiz at the end. And my idea is that if you are sitting in this class, the conversations we're going to have, because we're going to have a conversation about Iran. You know what I mean? Like, Bro, what do you know about Iran? What do you know about what's going on in Iran? Anything? Not a lot. Dude, then awesome. That class is going to be cool for you. Right. Well, how about Venezuela? Are you following news in Venezuela? Okay, good, man. That class is going to be awesome for you. Right. ICE. What do you know about ICE? You ever talk to anybody who works for ICE? Okay, well, maybe we'll have a chance to do that. Yeah, got it? So, like, that's my idea. The reason I teach the way I teach is because I have this crazy idea that if you just sit in here and you observe and you think, you're going to have a lot of cool ideas. And your mind's going to be activated. And so that's why you don't have to remember anything. You don't have to take notes. Just activate your mind. So the only thing is these points, okay? So the only thing is these points.
Yes, that kind of bars down where people are actually sitting down, feels a little bit less motivated to sit in the classroom.
Okay.
Because if it's the same kind of...
Okay, well, they might fall asleep or something, but the point is you're here. How about this? How about when people in class, you have a code, because we're going to have a code. Hey, by the way, you can just go back one slide. When we give you a code, each class is different, and people they get the code, and then they text their friend who's at home. Bro, give me your phone. And they're texting their friend, hey, yo, dog. Their friend's on Canvas at home or in the Bahamas. I don't know where their friend is. On a beach in the Bahamas. Like, yo, man, I'm taking off for a week. Send me that code, dog, for Social 19. All right, man. Okay, here it is. Code is 5689. Boom, boom, boom. That person hops on Canvas. They take the code. They're sitting on a beach drinking a Mai Tai, which doesn't mean anything for you because you probably don't drink. But whatever. But it's a really tasty alcoholic beverage. Okay? And if more Muslims drank Mai Tais, more Muslims would probably drink alcohol, but you don't. So, like, all right, whatever. Okay, so I'll catch hell for that. Some Muslims somewhere is going to, like, they're going to be like, man, you can't say that. Beer, a good IPA, man, a good IPA. How about that? Okay, so the idea is that someone shares the code with their friends who are down at Cafe 210, and they're getting the points, and you're here. And the GPA is going up.
I would classify that definitely as cheating. You're getting something that's not meant to be for you because you're not putting in the effort for it, is how I would title it.
Okay. How about what do you all? What should we do? What should Julie and I do?